What is up, everybody? Thank you for tuning back into the D-Lynn Show. I was just reading something that prompted me to do a little impromptu broadcast, or podcast, rather, broadcasting this live as well. It's basically a law that was just passed that severely could hurt the music and entertainment industry. It's got me a little baffled to the point where I can't really talk straight because it is rather mind-blowing. And it is something that I wanted to talk to you guys about because you guys need to be informed of it, especially those of you living in the state of California. Basically, let me pull this up, share my screen for those of you watching. Basically, California has been fighting against the gig economy. Companies like Lyft, companies like Uber, whatever else you could think of, Postmates, DoorDash, things like these. There's a bill that was passed into law called AB5, and it limits ride-sharing gig economy companies to classify workers as independent contractors rather than employees, which I'll start off right off the bat saying that I actually agree with this. I used to, when I was still trying to, get my foot in the door, make a living out of music, get into the entertainment industry, I did Postmates to make ends meet. And, you get treated like an employee and you're an independent contractor. There are some things that fall into the lines of independent contractor with those gigs. Obviously, you use your own vehicle, this, that, and the third, but you're micromanaged, and there's just a lot of other things that I don't really want to get too deep into. But there's a lot of other things that are very employee-like. So I do actually support that. I think that they should be protected. I would agree with this law if it wasn't so broad and hurt the music industry as a whole, because it is so broad that it does hurt the music industry. And I pulled up this article from Variety, which is what I've been reading. And I've been reading another article just to really wrap my head around it. One, because I live in the state of California and I run an independent record label out of California. And, this grossly affects me, but it affects everybody I work with. It affects everybody in our community if you live in the state of California. So basically how Variety breaks it down is what I just said about AB5 being proposed largely in response to the ride-sharing companies like Uber and Lyft. This bill is intended to make it more difficult for so-called gig economy companies to classify workers as independent contractors rather than employees. We understand and appreciate and support the legislators wanting to protect hundreds of thousands of people in our state who are working without benefits while the corporations involved reap the profits of their labor. 100%. 100%. Here's the problem, though. As they say, unfortunately, the law is so broad, it will have outsized consequences for independent musicians, treating them like Uber and Lyft executives rather than their drivers. It might sound nice at first, but let me break it down a little bit further because I guarantee you it's not. The proposed bill states that any person, this is now law, by the way, this is an older article. The proposed bill states that any person who provides services that relate to the usual course of the hiring entity's business is an employee of that entity. This makes sense for large corporations. It does not make sense for independent artists who are trying to make music. No shit. Artists work with many people to help them realize their visions. Producers, engineers, musicians, publicists, managers, music video creators, dancers, background vocalists, etc. Under this new law, an artist in California could become the employer of all these people. Think of the 14-year-old kid in her bedroom making music with friends. Is she capable of becoming an employer and providing punch cards, timesheets, guaranteed meal breaks, healthcare, retirement benefits, minimum wage, overtime, pay calculation, mandatory tax withholding? Fuck no, she's not. Major labels aren't even capable of that because it doesn't make sense. That's not how we work. We don't work like another industry. We don't work like the other industry. So therefore, no, it doesn't make sense. That's why it's never been a thing in our industry, because it shouldn't be, because our whole industry is about collaborations. It's about working with other people. It's about having multiple hands inside a project. But before I rant too much, let me continue. In 2019, the opportunities to make music independently are endless, and this law threatens to quash that innovation. Here are the examples to really break it down. This is what really hit me. The young girl in the basement recording on GarageBand who invites a friend over to play bass. She is an employer. The rapper who hires a mixer to punch up the levels on the production. He is an employer. The producers in a garage who hire musicians to play on a track. They are an employer. The songwriters who ask people to play on a demo so they can pitch it to an artist to cut. Employers. People who organize song camps where songwriters come together and write songs. Employers. So, well, let me break that down really quick. First of all, that last one. How many events do we have just in the state of California that revolve right around that? So that means all these workshops at events like NAMM, you can't do those anymore. Any kind of songwriting course, you can't do that anymore. Any kind of, like they said, workshops for songwriters, there's a lot of them. An artist will go on tour and they will also book studio time and have songwriting workshops. Joyner Lucas literally is doing this on his tour with Chris Brown right now. You can't do that in the state of California anymore. This is all ridiculous as shit. The songwriters who ask people to play on a demo so they can pitch it to an artist to cut. Employers. I personally work with singers. They're singers. They don't compose. They don't make their own beats. So now in order for them to get any kind of production, that means that they have to pay me hourly wage. They have to give me timesheets and punch cards, and they have to give me guaranteed meal breaks and healthcare, retirement benefits, overtime, mandatory overtime. First of all, I don't know any serious person working in this industry that doesn't work 14 to 15-hour days. So that means by default, we're all supposed to get overtime, because this doesn't seem like a good solution to me at all. I know that we get paid chump change in streaming. I know that we don't always get the fair shake of the stick. There was already laws moved to protect us in that. We're supposed to get an increase of royalties over the next 5 to 6 to 10 years. This kind of counteracts that. So we had made a really great leap and bound forward with the Music Modernization Act. And I applauded the state of California for doing that. But now this puts us in a worse position than we were in before. How does this make any sense? As the article goes on, as it continues, it says, this is not an issue of big versus small. This is small struggling to become big. There are tens of thousands of kids with dreams in California, dreams to become a recording artist, a singer, a producer, a rapper, a small label executive, a major label executive. The unintended consequence of this law is that they will have to move out of California to pursue this dream. Get ready, Nashville and New York. It looks like you're about to have your own record music boom. They say recorded music boom, but the boom of the music industry. Because if it's not appealed or we're not getting an exemption, you can fucking guarantee the entire industry in California is going to be like, all right, well, we're going somewhere else. And that includes the big three labels. They'll be the first ones to do it. Unless there is something we can do about it, AB5 allows industry exemptions. This is where we could maybe have some good news here. We all agreed on an exemption. And when was the last time recording artists, indie, and major labels agreed on something? Facts. We have a good deal of union support, but not all of them. If you care about allowing independent artists, songwriters, and labels to remain in California, we need your help. Call your local state legislator, your union, the AFM. Tell them how important it is that we keep the music in California. Ask them to support an exemption to AB5 for independent recording in California. But hurry, this is where it kind of sucks now. But hurry, the bill becomes law on September 13th. So it already became a law, and it's been a law for a few months. And for whatever reason, our industry is not talking about it at all, because I'm just finding this out today. The only article I've seen written from somebody in our industry right here was written a day ago. This is on Ari's Take, and I've actually been reading more about this. I haven't really dug deep into it, so maybe we can do this now and kind of figure out, the nitty gritty of it. But for whatever reason, our industry is not really talking about it because this became a law 2 months ago. And if there's any industry that it hurts more than any other industry, it's ours. So basically, we just took a huge slap in the face so Uber and Lyft drivers could be employees. I'm not going to give my opinions about that. As far as all that goes, as far as Lyft drivers, Uber drivers, I agree with the law on that point. But I also think that, you have a choice to work for them or not. I see a lot of people complaining, and it's like, well, find a different job. But, I understand there's different logistics to that. Not everybody can just up and go find it, a different job like that. As far as our industry goes, this is not good at all. I was born in California, but I moved back to California after growing up on the East Coast for the industry because the industry's here. Southern California, to be exact. And I pay a lot of fucking money every year, every year to live here, to be able to work on a certain level. And now this law just thwarted that completely. In order to continue working on the level that I've been working on, I'm going to have to move out of California unless we get an exemption. And let me break that down for you guys, because I know a lot of you people that watch and listen to this podcast are people that are in my community, people that I work with. So that idea that I had at the top of the year of making a collaboration project with a bunch of you guys, a bunch of you rappers, doing a DJ Khaled style album and putting a bunch of different independent artists on it, I can't do that as long as I stay in California, because I'd have to pay you all benefits and overtime and have to give you time cards and punch sheets and yada, 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 yada. And I do pretty well in this business, but I don't got to like that. Ain't nobody in this business got to like that. I don't even give a fuck if you're a major label and you got millions and millions of dollars. How would this work for our industry? It doesn't work for our industry. It doesn't make a lick of sense for anybody in the industry. And that's why you have everybody in every facet coming together to fight against this. Independent artists, songwriters, labels, major labels, independent labels, everybody on every level and every facet are all fighting against this, because this is not good for us at all. You will see people leaving California in flocks once we all understand, like, oh, dude, I want you on my song, but oh, sorry, I can't, because I have to give you a time card and pay you a minimum wage, and you got to sign a W-2, and it just gets muddy. Ain't nobody wants to be on that position on either side. It's not good for anybody on any side. We all know that this is a industry that's ran off of couple time jobs. If you're a producer, good luck trying to get any placements now, as if it wasn't already hard enough to get placements. Do you think Snoop Dogg is going to want to pay you a minimum wage and overtime and give you time card? Fuck no, he doesn't. And I don't want him to. As the producer, I don't want that kind of responsibility, that kind of obligation. I want to do my job, specific job that I was hired for, engineering, making beats, whatever it is. And I want to go home, and I don't want to have any more obligations after that studio session is over, as they don't want to have any further obligation to me. So you're going to start seeing a lot of people leaving California if something's not done about this, because as I can see right now, nothing has been done about this regarding our industry. Right here, Ari's take. You guys definitely go check this website out. This is a useful website. No, I'm not an affiliate or anything. I just read this a lot because Ari actually breaks it down in a different way than, say, Variety would. They still have to be a little bit political because they have sponsors to worry about, and they have, political allegiances and shit they have to worry about. This guy's actually he's an artist himself. He's been in the industry. He's had work for several different labels, and he's just honest about it. So as he says, California is on fire, but this economic blaze will ignite abruptly on January 1st, and it will affect the California music industry so drastically that it could completely burn it down. Holy shit. I'm just reading this for the first time as well. As the 5th largest economy in the world, California, and the entertainment hub of the world, California, this is a big fucking deal. Yes, Ari, yes, it is. And there's one man who could put it out single-handedly, and that's Governor Gavin Newsom. That does okay. I'm not going to give my opinions there. Let's keep it moving. This is an anti-creative economy bill for California. You said it. I've often wondered what could knock the LA music scene off its game. I think we are looking at it. What happened? Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez spearheaded a bill, AB5, which was intended to support workers' rights, namely Uber, Lyft, and DoorDash drivers. DoorDash is a horribly unethical company, so I'm glad that they were put in there. Rather than making a law targeting specific companies, they basically outlawed all independent contractors with few exceptions. What? How does that even make sense? California's got to stop being so lazy about the laws that they pass. Anyway, trying to withhold my own commentary, but I'm just so ridiculously outraged by this and confused and just, I don't know, a little bit beside myself, but let's move on and try to get through this. It was signed into law on September 18th, 2019 by Governor Newsom. So the guy that's trying to fight against it is the one that signed it into a law. That was the kind of the point that I was going to make in the first place. How are you going to fight against something when, like, come on, bro? Anyway, why haven't you heard about it? Because it was run through committee so fast that no one really had time to process what was happening. So no, we didn't get to contact our representatives before the vote and plead with them not to vote for it, or at least give the independent music industry an exemption. Tonight in Van Nuys, I think that's how you say it. I live here and I don't even know how to say that. Anyway, I don't live in Van Nuys. Anyway, I attended an educational gathering of mostly independent musicians organized by bassist Nick Campbell and cellist Danica Pinner. Cellist. Interesting. Attorney Ned, I don't know how to say his last name, Menoyo. I don't know. Somebody can maybe, if you know how to pronounce that, let me know in the comments. Led the discussion and broke down the law and how it will affect us. As he went on, the room got more and more unsettled to the point where people were shouting out questions left and right, completely dumbfounded that something so detrimental to our livelihoods actually got signed into law without anybody knowing about it. People are pissed. Why are people? Oh, how can what is going on here? No shit, people are pissed. How are you even surprised about that? This is a reoccurring problem in the state of California where they pass laws that fuck up people's livelihoods without even considering it because it's just to benefit somebody else's pocket. I'm sorry. I'm going to go a little bit left and go on a rant. There's a reason. As somebody that was born and lives here, I can totally clarify that there's a reason everybody jokes around and calls California commie California. Because as much as they want to pretend like we are this great state that is for everybody and we're so liberal and we're so about the people and bull the fuck shit, this is probably one of the most corrupt states in the fucking country. Hands down. Why would you pass a law that affects so many people without even letting them know about it? Like, I'm tired of the bureaucratic bullshit, man. Anyway, don't get me wrong. I am all for workers' rights, as it goes on to say, and I am too. It goes on to say, and I'm sure Assemblywoman Gonzalez and Governor Newsom had the best intentions to support workers being taken advantage of big corporations. For sure. They just didn't do their due diligence and clearly have no idea how the music industry works. No shit. How this law affects musicians is not helping workers. It's actually hurting them much, much more. This law could single-handedly end the music industry in California. How the law is written, if you want to hire a bass player to pay for your gig for $100, you have to put that bassist on payroll, pay unemployment taxes, provide benefits, follow labor laws, get workers' compensation insurance, deduct taxes, work with a payroll company. W-2 that basis is now legally will be your designated employee. Is, I think, how he meant to write it. For one fucking gig. Want to hire a violinist to play one song on your record for $150? She's now your employee for one fucking gig. Oh, and by the way, every venue in California can't just cut solo artists a check anymore. You play a 45-minute set at the Bootleg and make $800. Well, you're now technically an employee of the Bootleg. They must deduct taxes, put you and the hundreds of artists who play their venue each year on payroll for one fucking gig. Publishing companies won't hire producers and won't be giving songwriters advances anymore in California. Okay, I'm going to stop right there. And I'm going to give a little bit of commentary here. That is the lifeblood of our entire industry. That is the lifeblood of our entire industry. That is how every artist in this industry fucking survives, even the independent ones. I'm still technically independent. You can have your own definitions of however you want what independent is. Yes, I have the backing of a major label in the sense of distribution, but they don't pay for nothing. I'm the one that has to pay for all marketing, for all the tours that we do. I'm the one paying for it. I'm the one paying for it. Even when I bring out other artists with me, I'm paying the crew. I am paying the other artists. I am paying for fucking everything. Hotels, gas, food, you name it. The van that we tour in, you name it, I am paying for it. Are those people now my employees? You can't get advances. And you're trying to tell me record labels can't give artists advances anymore? So what are the labels supposed to do? What is the artist that relies on that advance to get them through their album cycle to, be able to eat and pay their bills and fucking take care of their families? What does California expect them to do? I don't know if anybody has an answer for that because they obviously didn't fucking think this through. What's the answer? I don't know, but if they can't fix it soon, I guarantee you this entire industry is leaving California. You think California is going to have the 5th largest economy in the world if the music industry leaves? We're one half of the entertainment industry. Let's be honest. Pop culture, actually, I'm gonna rephrase that. I'm gonna rephrase that because pop culture is basically made up of media as far as film, TV, all that shit, YouTube, however you want to break it down. But name me one more thing. Name me one thing that is more influential than hip hop right now. Right now. There's nothing. There is nothing on this planet that has more impact on our pop culture, on the world, fuck that, on everything than hip hop does right now. There's nothing. So what is California planning to do about that when we're all like, hey, fuck you, California. I'm going to move to Las Vegas. I'm going to move to Atlanta. I'm going to move to Nashville. I'm going to move to New York. I'm going to move to anywhere that the music entertainment industry is. But here, because you're telling me I can't do what I can't work on the level that I'm used to working because you said no. I'm telling you all right now, I will take my happy ass to Las Vegas like that. I have no problems with that. I've spent enough time in Vegas to know that the industry is alive and well in Las Vegas, and it's the closest thing to LA, so it's probably going to be the city that booms from the music industry if something is not done about this very, very quickly. Let's go on. Let's continue. Where was I? Oh, the advances. Independent record labels. It goes on to say, I will actually read that one more time just so you guys really understand it. Publishing companies. This makes me very uncomfortable. Like I said, I'm reading this for the first time as well. And I'm really getting the full understanding of it. Anyhow, it says Publishing companies won't hire producers and won't be giving songwriters advances anymore in California, which is, I've taken numerous advances. That was my original point. Independent record labels can't pay musicians, producers, engineers, or anyone else without designating them as employees. This is a ripple effect. The music industry could leave California in Marseille. Probably saying that wrong, but I was going to Chris Jericho it real quick. It sounded fun. Research has shown that by forcing these individuals to designate everyone they hire as an employee, it would increase costs by 30%. That's conservative, in my opinion. You thought your budget was $5,000 to hire the personnel for the album? Think again. It's going to cost you around $6,500. So you want to hire a drummer for $100? Well, now you have to take out taxes. So either you cut the drummer a check now for $80, you must withhold around 20%, or cut the drummer a check for $100, but you're actually paying out $120. Multiply that by every musician at every gig, and you're looking at thousands of dollars lost. It is completely cost prohibitive to force musicians who are just scraping by to jump through all of these hoops and pay all of these fees. Just registering a corporate entity like an LLC or an S Corp is a minimum of $800, and it could be a couple $1,000s a year to maintain or more. This is true. I can tell you guys this from experience. It's not fucking cheap to run a business, especially in California. It's not at all. My expenses are already through the roof, and I don't need more. Payroll companies aren't cheap. It could run you a few $100s a month. Not to mention the filing taxes for corporate entity is extremely expensive. Yes, it is. I have an S Corp for Ari's take, and my accounting company charges me $2,500 to file the corporate taxes. This law was not thought out. It is disproportionately affects independent musicians. Clearly, no one in the California state government has ever worked a day in the music industry. What's up, Lauren? I'm doing an impromptu podcast on what we just talked about. Lauren Torres just walked in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Clap, 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 clap. This law, if unchanged, will single-handedly crash the California music economy. This is not hyperbole. This is reality. Record labels, thank you. Hyperbole. How do you say it? Hyperbole. I don't need the comments. Lauren just corrected me. Thank you, Lauren.
I don't need the comments.
I don't need the comments to correct me. I got you. Record labels will start to take their business to New York, Atlanta, Nashville, or elsewhere. Touring bands will not come to play the state anymore because the venues may not allow solo artists to accept payment under their name, forcing them to create a corporate entity to get around the employee requirements. No touring solo acts will do this just to play a few gigs in California, which will pay much less than the cost of that corporate entity. No fucking shit. That's what I was kind of just talking about with touring. The American Federation of Musicians, the AFM, is literally the only entity in the music industry who is in favor of AB5, which is mind-boggling.
But they've got every other major player is fighting against.
Yeah, but the AFM has the loudest voice. That's fucked up. Anyways, you probably never heard of the AFM because very few musicians are actually in the musicians union.
Yes.
The AFM cities, 8,000 members. Or 80,000 members, my bad. 80,000, but still, how many fucking musicians are there? 80,000? That's an insanely low number. They really don't. But there are, I personally spent a really long time thinking that we didn't have a union. But there are literally millions of musicians in the U.S. and Canada, and no one I know is in the union. Unless you play in an orchestra, are on major label records, or are employed by a corporation who has a deal with the AFM, you don't need to be in the AFM, and I'm not really sure what they do, as this article says. This is not me saying this. This is the article. But what they did do here is totally fuck the entire music industry on this, namely independent musicians. They convinced Assemblywoman Gonzalez that this was a good thing for the music industry, and all they care about is apparently their members. Since the vast majority of musicians are not in the union, the AFM just convinced the California state government and Governor Newsom that they are looking out for musicians when in reality they're not. I fully agree with that. It is bullshit. Worth noting that the RIAA, A2IM, and I've heard of both of these companies, the newly formed Music Artists Coalition, which is actually something I would really like to look into, but I digress, comprised of Dave Matthews, Don Henley, Anderson Paak, Maren Morris, Megan Trainor, Shane McNally, and so on and so forth, a bunch of names, fought against this bill. Based on reporting, it seems Assemblywoman Gonzalez got pissed at the RIAA, so she decided that no exemptions would be made for the music industry. Go fuck yourself, Assemblywoman Gonzalez. All right, you gotta be joking. You gotta be joking.
Oh,
Hi. Yeah, you're right there in the corner.
hello.
So it looks like there is no exemption that is gonna happen. Interesting. This law contains exemptions for lawyers, dentists, physicians, vets, psychologists, architects, private investigators, accountants, direct salespersons. So why are these fishermen, graphic design artists,
What?
travel agent, how is graphic design artists and independent music, how is our industry any fucking different? It's not. Grant writer, fine artist does not include musicians, human resources administrator, marketing, photographers, freelance writers, cartoonists, editors, manicurists, is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm.
Barbers, cosmetologists, oh my God. So these people are, and repo men, these people are all exempt from the law, but we're not, because the Assemblywoman Gonzalez decided to throw some bureaucratic bullshit and got mad at the RIAA and said, hey, musicians, music industry, go fuck yourself.
Am I the only one who thinks that we're all jumping to like some insane conclusion?
After I just read this article and I really have a full understanding for it, absolutely not. We're jumping to no conclusions. We didn't even know about this.
No. All of that is I'm saying this is causing such a backlash and will continue to cause it. You actually think this will stand?
I don't know. We'll have to see. Please take 2 minutes right now and copy and paste this. All right. So he wants you to write a letter, which actually if you guys are as outraged about this as I am, and you fucking should be if you live in California or you care about the music industry in the slightest, I would go to aristake.com/post/AB5. He's got a template right here to send to the councilwoman.
Ari's take is always on top of shit.
And Governor Newsom. Yeah, that's why I'm reading it, because I was actually just saying that right before you walked in. It's like, well, and not just that, but he's unbiased and he knows the industry really, really, really well. He's worked for a lot of.
He's biased towards the industry
As
rights.
he fucking should be, because he's worked for almost all the major labels, so he really understands the ins and outs and how things actually work. So he should. And I was just saying that because the first article I read was from Variety, and I was like, they can only crack it open so much because they have sponsors to worry about and political affiliations and all this other shit. Ari doesn't have any of that. He's just somebody that's in the entertainment industry, more specifically the music industry.
I'm sure he does, but not the type that are going to fucking derail the music industry.
Maybe. But either way, I just wanted to do a podcast on this. This is something all of you guys need to be aware of. This is definitely something you should care about. This is not good for our industry in any sort of way. I don't want to, get too all hyped up about it, but as things stand right now, it's not looking so great. So hopefully there's an appeal before the entire the entire music industry is like, fuck this, and they leave. But as they say, the more you know, the more that you stay informed, the more that you can actually do about it, I guess. So that's all I really got. I just wanted to make sure you guys had a full understanding of it, as well as myself. And I definitely recommend sending Governor Newsom and Councilwoman Gonzalez that letter, because I know for sure I'm going to. So, yeah, guys, y'all stay focused, stay hungry, stay blessed. I'm out.